Harvest is wrapping up, and it's time to take a look at those inventories. I've got Pete Crollo. He's a certified animal scientist at Allied Cooperative Provision Partners. Feed inventories, from our forage inventory to our corn inventory. We really need to be checking those out this fall to make sure we have enough for the long haul in the cold season.
Being that time of year again, Jill, we need to take inventory of all of our forages. Forages such as corn silage, haylage, hay, peas and oats. Then we also should look at the grains such as high moisture corn, shell corn, oats, soybeans, or any other product that you have stored for your livestock this winter. Your friendly and helpful Allied Co-op nutritionist will help you calculate the tonnage that you have for each of these, and then we will set up your diets to ensure that you don't run out of forages before the next harvest season. For example, if you have 100 dairy cows and you feed them 30 pounds per head per day of corn silage, you will need roughly 450 ton of corn silage and 360 ton of haylage if you feed 40 pounds per head per day with that corn silage of haylage before you harvest your next corn silage next fall and haylage next spring.
And now we're measuring our inventories, but along with measuring, should we be doing some testing so we know about the quality?
Always. That should probably be a monthly protocol, is to check and see if there is a change in moistures, a major change in digestibility of your corn silage or haylage or starch or protein levels. That should be done monthly. But yearly is when we want to do our inventories.
Should we be calculating our inventories more than once in the year? Halfway through the winter season, we might get a little nervous if we don't have quite enough.
So if we measure right now and we say we have X tons, well, we know that our next harvest is going to be in October. But if we have an early corn harvest or we have a late corn harvest, if we do our due diligence now and we figure out how many tons of corn silage we have on hand, we should be pretty close. But if we do have in the back of our heads, gosh, maybe I was feeding a little strong, maybe that extra 100 or 200 pounds every day, maybe I might be short on my inventory what I thought. We can do these inventories any time of year. Farmers in the past that say, I only have 100 ton of this feed and I need it to go for the next 10 months. Well, we know we can only feed 100 of that 100 ton over the next 10 months. We can only feed 10 ton per month. So if we figure that out by the livestock feed rate, we have this much to stretch it, and then we have this much of other products. What do we need to purchase to bring in if we are going to be short on forages? But hopefully we can use what we have on farm and reduce our purchase costs to increase our profitability. And that's probably the biggest underlying point here is let's use what we have on farm to reduce our cost, help out our budget. We do the same with our grains. Whether you have high moisture shell corn or you have shelled corn, dry shell corn, and oats and soybeans and any other thing. Maybe you got wheat on farm. We've got so many tons. How many tons per month can we use by the number of cattle and stretch it out? Or maybe we have an excess of X number of tons and, hey, the price is really good. Let's sell that extra excess. So once we have all of your grains and your forages figured out for the year, it's like building a budget. So we build a budget for your feed. Then since we know what you used last year in forages, or you have in forages, ensiled on farm, is that going to be roughly the same for next year? Or do we need to plant more corn silage? Or do we need to harvest more haylage or baled hay to increase our tonnage? Or can we cut back and plant maybe soybeans? Since you know what you're going to be planting, hey, now is also the time to book your inoculant and your plastic needs for next year. And the good part here at Allied Co-op, when you book it, your inoculant and your plastic, you don't have to pay for it up front. You can if you want, but you don't have to. Otherwise, you're billed when you take possession of it, which could be next spring, summer, or fall. Kind of another neat thing we do here at Allied Co-op. So, Jill, if they ever have questions, they can just call their friendly Allied Co-op team member, and we are there for you to help you become more profitable for tomorrow.
Good time to look at those inventories. And that's our Allied Cooperative program for this Wednesday morning with Pete Crollo. He's the certified animal scientist. And I'm Jill Welke.